This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Everybody needs to be very careful. There could be a lot of water on the roads in the next couple of days.
Yeah, the advice from ODOT this morning as we deal with the threat of flooding and landslides this week. And this morning, just look at the radar. It is lit up green. We're going to get several inches of rain. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. So as you guys head out the door this morning, we're hoping that you can be our eyes and ears. Let us know what it's looking like in your neighborhood. Grab your phone, take a photo or a video out the window, and then send those to the number on your screen, 503-226-5088.
We do have our storm team on it this morning, and that includes Chris McGinnis back with us today to keep an eye on the roads. Devin Haskins, you see there, joining us as well. He has the latest from ODOT, but we start with you, Rod Hill, the man, the weatherman in the KGW Weather Center this morning.
Good old-fashioned northwest rain event in full swing. A reminder, we have a flood watch for all of western Oregon, Washington. This includes out toward Hood River in the gorge. This is in effect right now until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. The heavy rain, the steady rain, will break up overnight tonight as a cold front comes through. And the new player today, and we talked about this yesterday, I wasn't sure if we would get a wind warning, but we have one for the Oregon coast, where your winds today, south winds could gust up to about 65 miles per hour. Already 50 mile per hour winds to the coast, already 40 mile per hour wind gusts here in the valley. Right now, here's a steady rain on the west side. It's raining out through the gorge. This is a snow level up in the Cascades of 8,000 feet today. Currently, the rain's kind of gentle for most of us. There you can see the gusty winds. South to east winds out near the gorge. There's a 52 mile per hour wind gust up in Astoria. So again, we're watching rain, we're watching wind, we're watching rising temperatures. 55 at noon, 57 degrees at 5 p.m. Chris, they called you in today because your hands will be full.
They are right now. We are watching a lot of water on the roadways, Rod. Let's go ahead and check out a live shot from I-5 at SR14. A lot of road spray out there. Again, watch out for the standing water. We've got two crashes to tell you about, by the way, as we give you a little tour of our ODOT cameras. We've got one on northbound I-5 up in the Salmon Creek area, left lane block there. And just in, it looks like the Marine Drive on-ramp in North Portland, the Marine Drive on-ramp to southbound I-5, currently blocked with a crash there. We'll give you a quick look at the west side there. You can see the road spray kicking up from the cars on Highway 26 at 217. Really wet morning out there. No major reports of any slides or any standing water just yet, but I expect those to trickle in here as we go through the morning. Guys?
Okay, we will stay in close contact. Thank you, Chris. Right now, we want to send it over to Devin Haskins. He's live near the St. John's Bridge in North Portland. Good morning, Devin.
Good morning. Here along Highway 30, one of the areas that ODOT is keeping an eye on. With all this rain coming in, you got the steep hillsides behind me. We've already seen a significant landslide up near Astoria on Highway 30 just earlier this month. ODOT says they're still keeping an eye on that one on Highway 30. The highway shut down for a short time while ODOT cleaned up the landslide. It's about 8 miles east of Astoria. The concern this week is also on the areas near the wildfires, the gorge, the coast, where they will be keeping an eye out for landslide risks. The areas where the wildfire burns creates an increased danger because the underbrush that would normally catch the rain burnt away. And in the gorge, the Eagle Creek fire from a few years ago is still causing landslide concerns there.
We're looking at all the areas where we see steep hillsides in there. You get to this time of year with this much rain, there's always a lot of problems in here, especially with all the rain that we've had this year.
Now, it's just some tips to keep in mind if you live in a flood zone or you're unsure. Maybe you're new to the area. Pay attention, especially if you have to drive. The Oregon Department of Geology has a few tips to keep in mind. Watch the news for updates and emergency information. Keep an ear out for what's around you. And if you're near a creek or a river, pay attention to what the water's doing. And again, of course, just be safe. Pay attention to where you're driving. Assume the risks of if you're driving near a landslide, that the risks are always there and always happening. And as the rain continues to come down, that risk is out there. Live and wet in North Portland. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the warm and dry studio.
Absolutely. This is the place to be this morning. We appreciate all your reporting, Devin. So anytime we have weather like this, it really is a good idea to download the KGW News app. You can watch the radar, get hourly forecast updates and alerts for your particular area. You can also share your pictures with us using the Near Me feature. All right, let's get to three things to know about COVID right now. Number one, a new drive-through testing clinic opens in Vancouver today. It's at the Tower Mall parking lot off East Mill Plain. It's free and open to anyone who needs a test. They won't turn you away if you don't have health insurance or for immigration status. The clinic is meant for those with symptoms or those who've been exposed to someone with COVID. You can register in advance to help speed up the process. Number two, Washington's Notify app will now text you if your test comes back positive. The goal is to let people know faster, like within 24 hours. It will text you a link to the results. If you don't use that app, testing sites or doctors will still contact you if you test positive. And number three, two lawmakers who were at the U.S. Capitol during the occupation have now tested positive for COVID. Washington Democrat Representative Pramila Jayapal says she's been in quarantine since it happened, and she tested positive last night. Jayapal says she believes she got the virus from colleagues who refused to wear a mask while they hid out during the attacks. New Jersey Democrat lawmaker Bonnie Coleman has also tested positive. And those are your three things to know right now.
Here's a look at the latest case numbers in Oregon right now. The state reported 939 new cases yesterday and 10 more deaths. This graph we see here tracks the daily case numbers, which we saw drop slightly in mid-December, but they have picked up again in recent days. One thing that has definitely dropped, though, is the number of flu cases that we would normally see by this time in early to mid-January.
Flu has been almost zero in our region since the official start of flu season when we start tracking, which is around.
That's Multnomah County Health Officer Dr. Jennifer Vines. You saw her talking to Catherine Cook there about how our efforts to slow the spread of COVID have really knocked out the flu. She says social distancing, wearing masks, and an uptick in people getting the flu shot have all made a huge difference. So listen to this. This is actually pretty incredible. From December 27th through January 2nd, state health officials say just four people tested positive for the flu. During that same week last year, over 1,461 flu tests came back positive. National flu numbers are also way down this year compared to last. Doctors are reminding us, though, that there are still many weeks left this flu season, and it's also not too late to get a flu shot.
Today, we expect Congress to issue an ultimatum to Vice President Pence. Remove President Trump or they will. An impeachment vote could happen as soon as tomorrow. If it passes, it would make Donald Trump the first president to be impeached twice.
We have to stand up to this man who incited a violent riot at our nation's capital. It was a massive humiliation to our nation.
The Democrats are going to try to remove the president from office just 7 days before he's set to leave anyway. I do not see how that unifies the country.
With the Senate now in recess, it appears likely that any impeachment trial would happen after President Trump has already left the White House. But Democrats are looking past removal, hoping to ensure he can never hold public office again. Another resignation in the Trump administration. Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf is stepping down. This comes just days after criticizing the president over the riot at the Capitol. Earlier, Wolf said he planned to stay on the job. Last week, he asked President Trump and all elected officials to, quote, strongly condemn the violence that took place at the Capitol. Pete Gaynor, who used to run FEMA, will now take over for Wolf.
Well, the Oregon legislature starts its new session next week, and there's already drama. Oregon State Representative Mike Meerman, seen here in surveillance cameras leaving the Capitol and letting violent rioters inside last month, has now been stripped of all of his committee assignments. House Speaker Tina Kotek has now called for his resignation. Kotek also fined him $2,000 to cover the costs of damage to the Capitol and will file a formal conduct complaint for, quote, creating a hostile work environment. Representative Meerman will not have badge access to the Capitol and will have to provide 24 hours notice each time he wants to come.